So welcome back to DecoyNoise and another episode of Am I the Antagonist? And am I the antagonist for not wanting my dad's newly found daughter around all the time? So as always, make sure you subscribe down below with the notifications on, so twice a day I get to remind you to just unwind, relax, and judge some online strangers with me, because the world can get to be a kind of a crazy place as it is right now, and you just need a time to just take a break from all that. So let's go ahead and read what OP had to write. OP says, my mom and dad have been married for a little over 20 years. They got married when my mom was 18 and my dad was 21. Apparently, the start of their relationship was a bit rocky and my dad cheated on my mom a few times, which, without his knowledge, led to his daughter Tessa, a 19-year-old female. I don't know the details, but my mom forgave my dad and they have been great since. They had 3 kids, me, a 16-year-old male, and my sisters, Danielle, a 15-year-old female, and Tanya, a 13-year-old female. My parents are pretty great all in all. As an example, my dad teaches me how to fix cars, and me and my mom watch movies together, and we also do stuff as a family quite often. Now, months ago, prior to all this crazy stuff, a girl reached out to my dad on social media, told her she was his daughter. They checked it out, turned out to be true, and my dad started spending time with her, and honestly, everyone was fine with it. After all, how couldn't you be? We, sisters and me, were asked to meet her too, which was fine, but it did not go very well. She's a very self-obsessed person, and honestly quite rude. Again though, I was fine and I rarely saw her anyway. Well, she moved in. Apparently her mom finally had enough of her because of her attitude and the fact that she doesn't work or go to college. She told us a similar story, making herself out to be the victim, but that's what her mom told my dad. She is horrid. She literally lays around in the living room all day, is rude, and tries to order me and my sisters around because I am the oldest. She uses our stuff without asking, like my sister's makeup, and eats literally all the food. I even found her playing my Xbox in my room, in my bed. I mean, WTF. Again, that would be one thing. I'm usually outside or in my room always, but my problem is she demands to be included in everything my mom and dad, or we as a family, do when she is not laying around. That fixing cars with my dad, it has become dad fixing cars with Tessa because I no longer want to be endlessly criticized because she demands to come along. Watching movies with my mom has become watching movies with Tessa, wants to watch because otherwise she will throw a tantrum with my mom and Tessa because Tessa is super glued to the living room couch. Family time equals Tessa time because my dad caves into her every demand. So I finally lost my crap after months of this and yelled at them to get rid of this weird jerk that no one knows or likes to stop ruining everyone's day 24/7. Well, I got yelled at by my dad, who said I should be more accepting of my sister, to which I told him she's not my sister. She is his F up from 19 years ago that he now saddles everyone up with. My mom began crying, my sisters backed me up, and my dad was furious. Now, having cooled down, I sort of feel bad. I mean, I get why my dad is being like this. He probably just feels guilty, but if I'm being honest, I'm also considering asking my uncle if I can live with him because I am sick and tired of this entire situation. So, am I being the antagonist here? So as always, we gotta take the case and rush it over to Decoy Court right now so I can give you my knee-jerk reaction to the situation. We'll also cover those top comments and the controversial comments and then your comments down below, but let's go ahead and say Exhibit A here would be, yes, I feel bad for this half-sister. She was detached from the family the entire time and didn't seem like she enjoyed her upbringing or even had a good upbringing in the first place, because she has very many negative qualities. So let's be honest, most bad behaviors are in some way acting out, and she seems pretty attention-starved over here, so likely has never had a healthy, positive relationship with family. So the idea that, yes, OP hates this chick, like she doesn't like who she is or how she acts or to what she represents and how she impacts OP's life. So likely even if this half-sister was chill but the same product from her father's cheating, or his father's cheating, she would probably be still the outsider to OP. So this is where we get into the kind of the antagonist category, where Exhibit C is, why does OP need to attack their own mother because she doesn't like this girl over here? The idea is, of course, the dad's gonna get pissed off. He doesn't want to be called out for being, the bad guy in the situation, but his mom doesn't want the stuff shoved in their face either. So the judgment I'm saying here is everyone sucks here because, yes, everyone can have sympathy for OP and the sisters and all that other situation and feel bad for them, but lashing out like this isn't really the best thing for the family, and it just, not only because it makes you mean when you could have been nicer in the situation, but you caught your own mother in the crossfire. The idea that the father's being the antagonist for not setting the correct boundaries for the daughter, that's also true. It just sounds like she's messing up quite a bit, but he's just tiptoeing around eggshells to make up for the last 19 years. And this is the equivalency of me trying to use, my situation to my advantage, where, I was adopted. And if every time my parents try to discipline me for, me for whatever I'm doing wrong, if I start shouting, hey, is it because I'm not a real son? Like, I'm not your real son? Or do my monolid eyes offend you? Like, no, my father would have told me to shut up. You can't guilt trip me into letting you become the little antagonist that you are. Get in line, be considerate, and be considerate by subscribing to DecoyNoise. Make sure you're clicking the bell to have the notifications on. The worst segue ever, but just the idea that DecoyNoise is just kind of presenting you with something kind of silly and a very serious topic. Obviously, we'll take a short break right now, and I really, really want you to go down there and leave your comments down below to earn yourself that Decoy coin, because maybe there's a different aspect to this that we're not seeing. Maybe I'm the antagonist for thinking the way I do. I'd like to hear your feedback, because before we get to the top comments and the controversial comments, we need to hear what we had our initial thoughts were. So a top comment is, not the antagonist. She sounds awful, and while she may be your half-sister biologically, she is not your sister. She was a stranger a few months ago. I agree with you here. So here's someone that's defending OP. The only reason I called OP the antagonist is because she got her mom caught in the crossfire, and I don't really like that. And then the idea is, this is not, am I justified? Am I right? Because they're just justifying what she's doing. It's like, hey, am I the antagonist? Was I meaner when I could have been nicer? And she probably could have kept that conversation between her and her father or something, or just kind of kept it, or he could have kept it, on the low. Like, it seems like the sisters agreed with OP as well, and you know why he's lashing out, but there's a better way to go about this, I feel like. Let's go ahead and read the reply to that, which is OP saying, she is still a stranger to me. Basically just some weird, rude girl occupying the living room. And that's where, you have empathy for OP because he's just in a bad situation. But the next reply to that would be, not the antagonist. That sounds like such a difficult situation. Moving in with your uncle may be a good idea, but speak to your mom first. With your siblings, she needs to talk to your dad. Please update us with how it goes. And here's where I'm trying to... The dad's the antagonist for making this situation happen. OP's antagonist for lashing out, and the mother's the one that we kind of want to defend over here. And the idea is, if OP just gets up and moves out and lives with uncle because they don't like the stepsister, or not stepsister, the half sister, that's gonna be even harder on the mother, because now not only does she have to constantly look at the product of the husband's cheating, now they have to have the loss of their son not wanting to live with them because of the father's cheating, and also having it thrown in their face. Like, it's just going to kind of snowball out of control, which is a huge issue in my opinion. But OP came back to say, I'll first talk to my uncle in person and go from there. So they've already made the decision to move out, and I do agree with it, because I see how bad the situation is, but it's really hurting the mother the most, in my opinion. But the next top post was, not the antagonist. Your dad is probably feeling a lot of guilt, but that doesn't give him the right to ignore the needs of you and your siblings. Before asking your uncle to move in with him, I would sit down with your dad and mother and lay out why this is so hard on you. If you're met with the same response, then explore other options. So I get that with it's like, Am I the Antagonist is all about being the defense attorney for OP. And if we're only looking out for their perspective, yeah, we're probably going to say the similar things that this person is. But I don't like the idea that it's just, F what the mother thinks, because the mother was the one that got the brunt of the fallout of this situation, where she was crying, she was walking away. Yeah, he doesn't understand what the forgiveness was, but this is a hard situation for her in the first place, and now it just gets progressively worse for her. So I don't like that. But OP came back to reply saying, well, because of the stupid letter count, I could not add more details, but this is hardly the first time this has been brought up. So, okay, I do kind of take more empathy for OP, saying this is a constant thing that's going on, and he really wants to get out of the situation and doesn't like her in her room, taking away quality time with his parents, so I get why he's trying to get out right now. But the next top reply was, not the antagonist. She is acting entitled to everything in your home, and she is making you feel bad about everything. I think asking your uncle if you can move in there sounds like a great choice, as your dad is putting in his newfound daughter above all of his other kids. Which I kind of think the idea that, she has this good little trump card saying that no matter what happens, if you try to discipline me or like put me back, they can always say, well, yeah, just throw me away, just like the first 19 years of my life. Oh, you've always neglected me or whatever. She has some weird behavioral issues because of what happened earlier on in her life, and then he just doesn't know how to manage it. I'm not blaming him. It seems like a really hard situation to navigate anyway, but just the idea that, at some point in time, there has to be a line drawn. But OP came back to reply saying, yeah, I'll get my sisters to come too. This stuff is just getting insane, to be honest, which would probably be the nuclear option, but it does kind of hurt the mother more than anything, in my opinion. Just the idea that she's probably just trying to keep peace and just be happy, and not trying to step on her half daughter, not even daughter, just stepdaughter, whatever the situation may be. But you know, she's not trying to step on Tessa's toes, and also the husband isn't doing anything about it either. So now all of a sudden they lose all 3 of their kids because the husband has compounded his cheating issue on her. Like, that's all bad. The reply from that was, I was going to suggest the same thing. Maybe it's best if you move in with your uncle for a while. Your dad's not willing to curb her behavior, and your mom's not going to stand up for you either. Now you have to think about yourself and the well-being because your parents aren't. And I would really be curious as to what the relationship with the uncle is. Like, is he really willing to take him in, or is that just like, you know, OP saying like they're protesting, I'm going to run away from home, and that's what everybody's going to deal with? Like, I'd be very curious to know if the uncle's even willing to take the kids in, because that would be kind of like, he's saying it from his perspective, but I couldn't imagine me being an uncle and all of a sudden saying, yeah, I'm gonna take 3 kids into my home. Like, that doesn't seem reasonable at all. But let's go ahead and read one more top comment saying, not the antagonist. Tessa is an adult and should have found her own place rather than mooching off her long-lost dad. The finding him on Facebook was timed. She probably knew about dad for a while, but only acted on meeting him because she knew her mom was sick of her being ill-behaved. This was a way of manipulating your dad so she has a new place to mooch rather than have to accept the consequences for her being a self-centered, irresponsible, and lazy. You, as a minor, are entitled to live in your own house without an adult sibling moving in and causing chaos because she won't get a job. The fact that your other siblings agree with what you said, what was persuaded me to vote over no antagonist here, because that means the majority of the household is in agreement with you. I'm counting your mom into that reasoning as well, because I imagine having a reminder of your dad's infidelity, living in her house rent-free, acting spoiled, and treating your children like crap is absolutely awful. So here's where I detach from this story, right? From their logic, is the idea they're saying you are, like, you know, your half-sister planned this because she was getting kicked out anyway, but it said you as a minor are entitled to live in your house without an adult sibling moving in and causing chaos. So I don't agree with that, because yeah, you as a minor are entitled to living in your home and being cared for, but the idea that you as a minor are entitled to not facing hardship at all, like what happens if the uncle or your grandparents face hard times and get kicked out? You as a minor are entitled that nobody can come into your castle and have to live with you. Like, oh yeah, that's like giving OP the reason to say, well, you know what, I'm a minor, I deserve to have my own home, like my own room. The idea that, you know, in third world countries, just stuff like 15 family members in a 2-bedroom house, and that's just how it is, and they're saying, oh yeah, but you're entitled to live on your own. Like, no, you're not entitled to anything. The hardship's gonna happen doesn't mean that you get to just pack up and go because things don't go the way you want. That doesn't seem like a very good lesson to impress on somebody that's going through a hard time. Like, yeah, just walk away from the situation. Family's not family if they're not willing to put you first over everything else. This just looks like hardship to me, but maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. That's why I say, like, you know, drop your comments down below, because my knee-jerk reaction was everyone sucks here, but nobody seemed to agree with me. They all just seem to think that, like, hey, we support OP and moving out and, you know, punish everybody. No one seems to be thinking about the mom. They think that the mom would agree with OP and the whole, you know, no one's taking care of him. So I'd be very curious to know what the Decoy Court are saying down below as well. But let's go ahead and get to those controversial comments, because I just would rather see that sometimes. So the top controversial comment is, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go against the popular consensus. Everyone sucks here except for the 2 little sisters. If 2 wrongs don't make a right, doubling down with 4 wrongs can't make you any closer. 1. The father's original affair that resulted in the child. 2. The father selfishly trying to assuage his guilt by using OP and the rest of his family without considering the impact of having this girl move in on family and family dynamics. 3. The father and mother are not doing more to discipline Tessa, set boundaries, and provide a family structure, not just crash pad with free stuff if the girl never had a family. She wouldn't know how to interact with her feelings. And 4, OP lashing out and finally losing their crap after months of this and yelled at them. There doesn't seem to be any serious attempt for OP over the months to discuss problems or concerns. Simply complaining or whining periodically is not a serious attempt to resolve conflict. The parents cannot be expected to address and solve problems whose severity they do not understand and about which they have no prior warning. And they go on to say, before moving out, have a calm discussion with your father. Focus on the impact on you and your other sisters and how it makes you feel, not what Tessa, your father, or mother did or didn't do. Talk about boundaries and your expectations. Acknowledge that you know things are different than before and that you want to establish a new normal that's fair to you as well. And they edited out some typos. So here's a problem right here, is they got like no traction, up votes, down votes. They were just stuck in the controversial section. But in my opinion, this was the best advice, saying, hey, look, you want to make your life better, not just walk away from all your problems. This is probably going to happen very often in their life because of this situation. So what they just say, oh, I call it quits because it's a little bit difficult. I agree wholeheartedly with this reply, but too bad it's in the controversial section. But that's why we go over that. So someone replied to that saying, Yes, this is mostly my take on it too, except I give the mom a pass on this. Dad and Tessa both suck, and OP is the antagonist here for how he addressed it. OP is not the antagonist for wanting her gone though. She should move back with her mother. And here's the thing, is she probably should move back with the mother at some level, but you know, they do want to introduce them to this side of the family. But also the idea that, yeah, I agree, the mother really has no problem, has no issue with it. The mother is not related to that kid whatsoever. So how are they going to expect to parent her? Like, you're living in my home, you got to do what I tell you. Well, you're not my real mom, and I don't really live here, blah, blah. Like, she has that ultimate card to shove in the face. It really comes down to the father and his ability to discipline and set boundaries with Tessa, the half sister, whatever. But the idea that I really put it on OP, Tessa, and the father. But let's go ahead and read one more controversial comment, which is, everyone sucks here. Your half-sister behaves terribly. Your mom and dad need to set better boundaries. You were cruel. Not saying that your sister isn't annoying, but she's probably hurt, lost, and angry. She's not behaving well as a human, but she also has no place where she's welcome. You have the advantage of a long history with your two parents who do special things with you, and you're pretty great. Instead of going nuclear, talk to your parents about what you need. You need time with each of them that is your own time. Tessa needs her own friends and a purpose or goal. All of you need some activities without Tessa. Negotiate that instead of yelling. And that got a couple upvotes, but that was also very good information. The idea that they said, hey, look, you should just say, I need mom and dad time. Like, this is really taxing on me as well. You can't put her on the forefront because she was a little disadvantaged in the beginning. Like, I still need my parents. And the idea is you being cruel doesn't really help the problem. And also the idea that, you know, negotiations would be better than putting your foot down and say, F this, me, my sisters, we're all moving out. You guys all suck. Thanks for the first 16 years of my life, but you suck right now. So I negate all that. Like, that's not the way to go about it. And this would be the better lesson for OP to learn in the long run, which is sad because they're going to go on the internet, get the echo chamber of all those 200 and 500 upvoted comments saying, hey, you're right, you're entitled to having your own room, you're entitled not to seeing any hardship, your parents are bad people, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, that's not the real world. That's just idealism, some utopia Disney movie or something. This is more realistic, the idea that, yes, sometimes you are going to have have some hardship yourself, and that's natural. But let's go ahead and read one more controversial comment, because this got a lot of downvotes right now. So they say, no antagonist here. You're not the antagonist because your home life has been disrupted by an all-encompassing and extremely unpleasant experience. Your dad isn't the antagonist because he's the untenable position of wanting to bring the unpleasant daughter into every part of his family life, regardless of her behavior. Tessa is not the antagonist because you haven't said anything about what her life has been like for the last 19 years. But suddenly she's thrown into a situation where she sees 3 happy kids living a happy family life with her dad, who through no fault of Tessa's missed her entire childhood. Which this is all very true over here. The idea that, yes, this is the situation, that this isn't Tessa's fault and she has all these problems, but it's probably in result from not having a father and being able to see this over here. She's going to be jealous, and the only time that she was probably able to get good interaction with people and to get attention is by lashing out and acting entitled and all these things, that these negative qualities that she's inherited from having a mother that kicked her out at 19 years old, is which, you know, it's not no excuse for her, but you also want to kind of have some empathy for her as well. Like, she's not the only victim in this situation. But it's very sad that it takes us to getting to heavily downvoted comments, controversial comments, and people that just didn't seem to get traction before we saw any semblance of what I think is reasonable behavior, which is why you'd want to subscribe to DecoyNoise, because I feel like this is the only place that you're going to be able to get the reasonable behavior that can't get all wrapped up in torches and pitchforks, where I feel like a lot of parts of Reddit is when they read the first top comments, then they want to put their comment in, then they'll vote. Now I know what to think, so now we can all just get blasting OP's parents and giving him bad advice where it's like, you're entitled to this, you're entitled to that. Like, that doesn't seem very productive to me, in my opinion. But as always, earn yourself the Decoy coin by giving me your feedback. Hopefully, when we took the first break, you let me know what you thought. We got some feedback there, and after we read some top and controversial comments, you gave me some feedback again, because as always, I appreciate everybody watching all the videos in their entirety, not just a story, putting your comment and throwing it away and going to the next one. I like when you guys are involved in the whole entire conversation. And if you can, support the channel by putting comments, but also visiting the Patreon or the Ko-Fi to donate. But if you can't, just enjoy all the channel for free, because it's having fun, just having a community of the Decoy Koi Pond. Put this on autoplay and watch the next DecoyNoise coming up next.